Hello and welcome. This is going to be our lecture video for September 10th. Now, just a reminder, this is the lecture video for only the A cohort. B cohort students, you're going to be getting the same lecture in class, but you're welcome to watch it twice, listen to it twice if you want to. Anyway, our goal for today is to be able to write equations for lines given graphs, 2 points, or an equation in standard form. Why do we want to do this? This is going to help us standardize linear equations, and when you can standardize something, you can be much more efficient with it. Alright, let's talk about slope. So there's 4 different qualities that slope can have. Slope can be positive, negative, 0, or undefined. Go ahead, add these headings to your notes. Add today's date. Alright, so these words describe what would happen if you moved left to right along a line. Slope, let's first define slope. Slope is the steepness of a line. And it's always measured left to right. So if you imagine yourself walking along that line, are you going uphill, are you going downhill, are you sitting flat, or are you facing a wall? So a positive slope, let's draw an example of a positive slope. As you move left to right, you're just going uphill. Negative slope, so you move left to right, you're going downhill. Zero slope, so you move left to right, you're not going up or down, you're staying flat. So this is a horizontal line. And the last option is that the line can be vertical. This has an undefined slope. So we can't move left to right, so we can't really say what the slope is. So if it's vertical, we just say the slope is undefined. Kind of breaks down around there. All right, there's a little acronym you can use to help remember this last part about which one's is horizontal, which one's vertical, and that is HOI-VUX. So what this stands for is horizontal lines. This O is really a 0 because they have 0 slope. And they're created by y== equations. All right, vertical lines have undefined slope. And they're created by x== equations. Right, specifically x=a number. If I want to put a vertical line that crosses right through 3, that's the line x=3. If I want to put a horizontal line that goes through y=5, that's the line y=5. All right, so here's a few examples. What is the slope of these equations? So when an equation is written, and we'll write this down in just a second, but this is called slope-intercept form. It's the coefficient of x. So the slope of this top equation is 10. Now we can use HOI-VUX to figure these two out. This is just a y= equation. So let me write out HOI-VUX. If it's a y= equation, it should have 0 slope. So I'm going to say 0. This is an x= equation, so I look at the VUX part of HOI-VUX. I see this has undefined slope. All right, and just for good practice, let's graph these bottom two. y=7 would be a horizontal line that crosses the y-axis at 7. So put a little 7 there. And x=-2 would be a vertical line that crosses the x-axis at -2. So that's supposed to be vertical. All right, -2 is that point right there. Okay, so There is a formula that will calculate slope, and it works off the basis that slope is equal to rise over run of a line. We can directly calculate the rise and the run for any 2 points. So we'll say this is for any 2 points, x1 comma y1, x2 comma y2. So I can find the rise by finding the difference in the y positions. So I do y2 minus y1 over, the run is the difference in the x values, x2 minus x1. All right, we can also say that's equal to m. These are all equivalent. The most important one is the one that turns two ordered pairs into a slope. The y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And just remember that that's directly calculating rise over run, and you don't have to memorize anything other than rise over run, which most of us know. All right, so let's practice that real quick. Let's find the slope between these 2 points. First thing is we have to label them x1 and y1, x2 and y2. Now I can plug them into the formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this becomes 7 minus 8 over 4 minus 2. Now simplify the top and the bottom. 7 minus 8 is a negative 1. 4 minus 2 is a 2. And negative 1/2. That can't be simplified any further, so we can just put a box around that. Label it m. All right, slope-intercept form. Well, I already brought it up once, but let's write it out explicitly. Y equals mx plus b. All right, I like to call the y the output of the function. X is the input. So they need to just stay variables so that they can change. M and B are constants that kind of define the line. M is the slope, and then B is this thing called the y-intercept. It is where our line crosses the y-axis. All right, so that in mind, let's write an equation for this line here. I'm going to write out slope-intercept form again, y equals mx plus b. And now I just need to fill in the m and the b. All right, to fill in the m, I'm going to connect 2 points on this line with a slope triangle. And I can pick any 2 points that this line goes through, but they've bolded 2 of them to make this a little bit easier. All right, so now I'm going to travel between these 2 points, but only walking along the grid lines, which means I go straight down and then straight to the right. All right, this here is a slope triangle. Slope triangle. All right, and the lengths of the slope triangle can be negative if you ever go down or to the left. So here, go from this point to this point, I go down 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a negative 4 here. But then I go to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's a positive 5. You could walk this backwards, make that a negative 5, and this a positive 4. Either way, you get one negative. And then rise over run gets you negative 4 over 5. X. Now we just have to fill in the b value. When we have a graph like this, where it's crossing at an integer point, we don't have to do any math. We can just look at what that point is there. So this is going to be our y-intercept. And we can see it's at 1, 2, 3. So y equals negative 4 over 5x plus 3. That's our equation for this line. All right, can we write the equation of a line that goes through these 2 points? And we're going to do this without the help of a slope triangle or a graph or anything, just using algebra, just using our slope formula. So first thing is we've got to label these x1, y1, x2, y2, and then plug them into the formula. Y2, 11, minus y1, negative 29. Notice the double negative because there's a minus in the formula and a negative on that 29. Over x2, 7, minus x1 is a negative 3. This becomes 11 plus 29 over 7 plus 3. This becomes a 40 over 10. Complete the division there, this becomes a 4. So we've already solved for m. Here we'll label it just below it. Let's plug that into y equals mx plus b. Now it becomes y equals 4x plus b. To solve for the b though, we need to borrow one of these points and plug it in. I'll pick the one with the two positive numbers, looks a little easier. And make this 11 equals 4 times 7 plus b. 11 equals 28 plus b. Take away 28 from both sides. And negative 17 equals b. So I've solved for b and m. I can write my final equation. Y equals 4x minus 17. Let's check with this one real quick. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Negative 12 minus 17 equals negative 29. Yes. It works out. All right, sketch a graph of y equals 2x minus 3. So here's how I sketch graphs. One is we need some axes. So on my graph paper, I pick two lines to be the x and the y axes. All right, and where you start is you start at the y-intercept. So start here. So we're going to start at negative 3. So 1, 2, 3, down from the origin. That's negative 3. All right, now I'm going to attach to that point the slope. And it might be useful to turn this into a fraction. I'll turn it into the fraction 2 over 1 so that I can do rise over run. So I'm going to rise 2, run 1. Rise 2, run 1. Continue that pattern. And then I can reverse this. Instead of going up 2, right 1, I can reverse both directions, go down 2, left 1 to get a few more points. And that's how we graph a line. Connect these up with a straight line. There we go. All right, standard form. Standard form isn't very useful, but it still crops up sometimes. It is ax plus by equals c. I guess, it gets both variables on the same side. In systems of equations, it can be kind of useful because it sets you up nicely for elimination. But other than that, standard form isn't super useful. But you got to know it in case it gets brought up on the SAT. Or just that vocab, if I ask you to convert from standard form, you'll know what I'm talking about. Here's an example where we have a linear equation in standard form and we're being told to convert to slope-intercept form. So when we do that, let's remind ourselves what slope-intercept form is. It's y equals mx plus b. A key feature of y equals mx plus b is that the y is isolated, so let's focus on that first by subtracting 2x from both sides. When I do this, and I rewrite it, I'm going to put that negative 2x in front of the 7 so that this side already looks a little bit more like mx plus b instead of b plus mx. Now I got to get rid of that 4, so I divide every single term by 4. This becomes y equals, I'm going to simplify this fraction right now, negative 2 over 4 becomes a negative 1/2. I'm going to pull the x off the top of that fraction and just write it in front, so it looks more like mx plus b, and b is a 7 over 4. Okay. That's all I've got to say about that. Point slope form. Another one that's not like my super most favorite form ever, but it crops up occasionally. It's useful when you have a single point and a slope to write an equation, and it goes like this. So for a line with slope m, that goes through x1 comma y1, you can write this equation: y minus y1 equals m times parentheses x minus x1. All right, and you would never leave something in point slope form. It's more of just a stepping stone to get you to slope intercept. But you can plug in a slope and a point and you'll have your equation, and then all you have to do is rearrange it. All right, there's a worksheet to go with this for you to practice. Another help video to go with that worksheet. No questions in today's video because this one isn't going in the grade book. This is just honor system that hopefully you watched it. And that's all for me. Have a good rest of your day.